Good morning. Welcome to the session on machine minds, human hands. I'm going to just take a minute to frame the discussion. In its 2025 AI Jobs Barometer, PwC says AI can make people more valuable, not less, even in the most highly automatable jobs. It says AI could contribute up to $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030, primarily by amplifying human capabilities through collaboration with AI-powered hardware and software. So, what does effective collaboration between humans and AI look like in the intelligent age? While many are still focused on what AI and humans can achieve separately, the real breakthrough lies in understanding where AI's capabilities end and human strengths take over. These are early days of human-AI collaboration, and they demand a thoughtful approach. In today's session, we're going to examine what happens when AI moves beyond apps and algorithms into factories and supply chains and production lines. Here, artificial intelligence isn't a flashy interface. It's a quiet, powerful shift in how we build, collaborate, and decide, redefining the relationship between people, systems, and decisions. So without further ado, I'd like to ask all of the panelists, what does ethical, sustainable, and resilient production look like in the age of AI? And Kirsten, why don't we start with you?
Thanks so much. I think ethical should be good for people, good for the world, and that's the best perspective to be a positive one. And it's our approach is an embedded ethics approach. We are along with all the stuff, all the workers in the production line and looking at their ethical problems. And that's it. It's not such a huge thing, but it's a ethical thing.
Okay, so Marcus, tell us a little bit about where the University of Augsburg fits in here, and then give us your view on what this ethical, sustainable, resilient production looks like in the age of AI.
Well, you just named the three buzzwords, and actually this is nothing more than the definition of the next industrial revolution. So it was defined in that way by the European Union anyhow, but actually we're working at our place since almost 5 years on that overarching topic. So we started to get the AI production network running, which currently is an undertaking where 800 companies have joined us. It is funded by the Free State of Bavaria within the high-tech agenda, and therefore we receive a lot of attention, of course, with the key idea and vision to bring AI on the shop floor. Because of that, we're really operating a real-life factory, so a realistic shop floor with 5,000 square meters, and trying to explore AI use in the industry in a real and realistic condition.
Okay, thank you. And so, Siggo, we discussed just before, the fact that Siemens has been using, machine learning and AI in the factories for decades. But the difference today is we're not talking about replacing physical labor. Now we're starting to talk about replacing human cognitive labor. And so we're entering into a whole new realm. What sort of complications does that involve? You are dealing with policy at Siemens, and how are you dealing with those?
Yeah, thank you. I can build on what Marcus said, because we are right now really extremely excited about the opportunities and the big business potential that AI offers being applied on the shop floor. And this is really something new, and this has these two aspects that you mentioned. It changes the way we physically operate, but of course it also changes massively the way we do, for example, research and development. And there it's all about the collaboration of AI systems and humans. Yeah? For us, it's the big question how to actually organize this collaboration and how to make sure that all the knowledge that the humans have are well fed into the AI systems, and that on the other hand, the AI systems best support the humans taking decisions and building the framework. And how to organize this collaboration is the key question for us. And if this is done in a good manner, we see massive increase of business potential, of sustainability gains that we can get from the application of AI, and even of a bigger satisfaction of workers with what they do. This is what we recently discovered at Siemens. I could go a little deeper into that field because I think that is really very important if we talk about what is the effect of using AI on humans.
So, Marcus, indeed, just building on what Siko just said, the key is figuring out the best way for AI and humans to collaborate. So, how do we design the AI systems to strengthen AI agency, strengthen human agency and embed shared values, not just efficiency?
Well, to be honest, in an industrial context, there will be different types of AI involved. There will be a large domain under the hood where the human will never be explored to the AI as such. It is when we design a new machinery, it will become better on the software side, being driven by machine learning aspects, and therefore our perception will be it's doing better than before, so this is quite natural, and there won't be a big hiccup on the worker side to say, well, I don't want to be confronted with that. But then there is the other side, which is the human-machine interface, of course, when we're starting to interoperate with those machinery and trying to come to a common decision where the human is adding its contribution and where the automatisms are bringing in their goods. And this is, of course, the key design element that we were already striving by. And this needs to be signed from the beginning on with a positive perspective of the human in mind. So not to confront the workers with that new technology, but to take them on the trip to introduce such technologies via AI assistance systems, but also by being skilled in how we design such pieces of software.
Thank you. So, Kirsten, let me turn to you, because part of your focus, part of your job is to talk with workers and ask them, what do they think about these changes? And, so how do we ensure the technology is not used against them due to bias or other unfair criteria? Talk to us a little bit about that, please.
In my different function, I'm a member of the German Ethics Council, and we did a huge policy paper on artificial intelligence. It was about human agency and how we can get a better connection between artificial intelligence and humans. And our metrics, our criteria is how we can develop the human agency, how we can improve human agency. And that we can talk to workers and to say, what helps you in the relationship with artificial intelligence in the different types. It's this industrial sector. And we see there's not so much fear, but a more better understanding. And in your everyday life, you have artificial intelligence. It's not such a difference between everyday life and your workers' jobs.
Sure. But I think, people are starting to get familiar with this notion of AI bias and things like if you apply AI to deciding who gets a bank loan, that you have to take certain steps to make sure that you're not biasing a certain population. And same thing with human resources in hiring, right? But what kind of biases could creep into like an AI production system? And what do we need to do to prevent that from happening?
That's why we did, we do an embedded ethics approach. We as ethicists are along all the steps and all the workers and management to discuss different biases and to detect biases. There are different types of biases possible, and that's it. To see, you can't say there's one biases. It can be a racial biases, it can be a biases because of data. It depends on the section, on the industrial partner, but as an embedded ethics approach, we are nearby. We see it in the field, like I would like to say it in a scientific field way. It's a field, and we detach there this, approaching, becoming, getting in mind bias problematic. And then that's it, and we can do it in a good way to talk to our partners and to say, okay, there you have to be careful. And that's it. And Markus can say an example. We are always discussing examples. Markus?
Yeah, sure. Just imagine you're trying to optimize the workload on a shift of workers. And of course, there will be the ones that perform better than the others. And what an AI algorithm, of course, will do, it will shift the workload to those that are performing better. And from a human perspective, you could basically say, well, probably that's not fair. And therefore, that would be a very simple case of a bias that easily happens if you just leave the model running.
Okay. So in terms of, human worker comfort with working with AI on a cognitive level, there's not only this danger of people being afraid of AI, there's also the danger of people becoming overdependent or awed by AI. Basically, even if they see the AI doing something that they know makes no sense, being afraid to correct it because they think, oh, if AI says it, it must be right. So how do we deal with that?
I can start. That's a typical automation bias. And then bias in objectivity. We believe that the artificial intelligence is correct. It's a belief. It's not always right. And that's why we look at, in medicine, we have experienced to get the physicians and staff more concerned about all the decisions of artificial intelligence and really say, okay, perhaps our notion of objectivity isn't that great to get better in the future. That you have to go back, think about the decision artificial intelligence proposes you, and then have, okay, perhaps my own knowledge, or I have a more holistic approach on the person, my own knowledge is a better one, and I can say no to this decision of artificial intelligence. It's a digital literacy, artificial intelligence literacy you have to build, but you have to build it. That's it.
Perhaps I can follow up on that.
Sure, of course.
Because it's a very important topic, of course, also for us in the industrial world with industrial applications. And I think two aspects I would like to add. The first one is that it's about AI literacy. So you have to train people in order to make them sensitive for this topic, yeah? And in order also to invent instruments how to check AI and how to balance the dependency of AI. That's one point. And the second one, it's about responsibility. And you need very clear rules for responsibility. And in industry, we always have finally the human being as the one who is being responsible for any decision or any process step that is taken. And if this is the case, everyone will reflect very thoroughly what kind of suggestions, recommendations of the AI he or she is going to accept. Mm-hmm. And of course, there is a huge error in industrial applications, for example, an AI optimizing a water pump on the shop floor. So having all this data from the water pump, so you have to be responsible for the quality of the data in the water pump. You have to check whether it's valid. If it's valid, you can probably very much rely on the AI analysis of the water pump data. But finally, you have to be the one who's actually responsible what happens if the water pump nevertheless fails to work. You have to try to detect it as early as possible. That's what AI delivers there, because from the data you will be able, in best cases, to detect that earlier than the water pump actually fails. So you can replace it without downtime, yeah? But you are the one who is responsible. And I think this is a very crucial point.
It is.
I'm a member of a Center for Responsible AI Technologies, and the notion of responsibility is interesting behind. What are you thinking about responsibility? Is a responsibility only on humans? In ethics, we are now at the stage to think about responsibility in a relational way. We are in relation to machines, to artificial intelligence, and we have to really look on this relationship. It's a more relational, responsible thinking now in ethics, Jennifer.
Sure. So let me follow up with you, Siko. Can you talk the things that you just discussed about, responsibility? Can you talk about how that fits into your co-pilot program and how the co-pilot program works?
Yes. As Siemens, we have invented the industrial co-pilot the idea is to accompany every worker on the shop floor with an industrial co-pilot who delivers information that he can use to do his job in a better way. So for example, this could be in the area of maintenance, an AI that really selects what information about maintaining a certain element of a production line, for example, is relevant, because the AI is very fast capable to analyze which kind of handbooks, for example, which kind of certificates or other technical information is relevant. So it analyzes this and then gives a recommendation to the worker who is in charge for maintaining, for example. So this is what the co-pilot does. It's a very close interaction. And then finally the worker can actually build on this information, or, and this is what we are really excited about, the next step then would be agentic AI, where the AI does not only give the recommendation to do this and that, but actually does this in the system, building on digital twins, for example. This is possible. You can first simulate this on the digital twin level and then put it into reality, so to say.
And does your co-pilot system then allow the worker who, must have a certain amount of sector knowledge, right, from the shop floor, does it allow the worker to kind of oversee this agentic AI and stop it if it's going in the wrong direction or doing something that's not correct?
Absolutely. I think this is, I wouldn't say that we already gain it on every level, but that's the goal. That's important because we need this interlooping of knowledge between the AI and the domain expert, because in industrial applications, it's all about domain expertise. You must know how a production line works, or a railway system, or a building, or whatever it is. And so you need this feedback loop. And this is what we are very strongly working on, to build AI models that contain this kind of feedback loop and this expertise from the domain knowledge.
Okay, great. So despite the promise of this kind of system and the way AI works in general to achieve like step change impact in performance, today there are not that many successful applications of AI in industry, according to the World Economic Forum. So, and this goes to, like, they have a few lighthouse factories that are using AI effectively, but most of them are still not doing this. So what is holding things back? What are some of the major obstacles as you see it? Marcus, I'll start with you.
Well, probably there's a couple of things that are holding it back, but let's start at the beginning. I mean, what we're exposed to as private persons is large language models mostly, and this is driven by the data that we got from the web. So this is the commercialization of it, and if you look into industry, data is rare. And specifically, it's domain knowledge, as already said, so every company keeps it as their confidentiality, so there is data silos, and they keep it for their own. And what would contribute, of course, to the larger models that could give the common benefit, of course, is sharing that data in a safe way, so that we get models that are getting better on that level. However, I would say there is plenty of lighthouses in the meantime, so we're getting better in that aspect, and we're also getting closer to those cases where this is most valuable, because again, the business case is not as obvious as the large language models we use as a private person. So it's pretty obvious what we do with that piece of software, and we're keen to explore. But if we do a deep dive into a particular type of machine, only a handful of experts actually knows what's going on and is interested in that kind of AI technology.
Okay, Schenker.
Yeah, I would like three more aspects. The first one is the connectivity issue. Yeah? Not all things in industry are already connected. And I think this is something we heavily have to work on. Sometimes we already think, given Industry 4.0 initiative, for example, in Germany, that we have already the fully connected factory, but we don't. Yeah? Even in highly connected factories, we have a connection rate about 70 to 80%. That's already high connection. So this is the first one. The second one is interoperability, because you need data integration. You need to be able to feed in data from different sources that have different data formats and so on. So this is something that is also a big issue, and that makes it, that needs a lot of effort do this data integration, which is the basis then for AI applications. And the third one I would like to highlight is legal unsecurity in many companies, because data is a very new topic. You are not quite sure how to deal with it, to whom data belongs. There is no law of data, or it is just beginning in Europe at least. So there are a lot of legal uncertainties, also especially with regard to the data protection law. Yeah? So do I violate GDPR elements if I use data? So that's why we need much more clarification, clarity, and legal security in order to make then companies really willing to invest in data integration, to invest in interoperability, and then build these business cases that already exist but that do not scale up right now.
Just as a quick follow-up to what you said, to what extent is cybersecurity also an issue? Because once everything's connected, then it can be hacked.
Yeah, absolutely. I could mention more than three aspects, and cybersecurity is definitely one, absolutely. But I think there, on a technical level, we have very good solutions. It's more about the trust level. Yeah? How do I make sure that the data, which is very important for me, which contains business secrets, for example, is really protected, that I'm data sovereign in the way that I can determine who uses the data to which purpose, for which amount of time, and so on. There are technical solutions for all this. There are federated data systems. It's not about centralizing everything, but building on federated systems, also with federated AI approaches. So all this is possible, but nevertheless, we are still lacking a little the momentum or the wave to really use it and bring it forward. But I'm with Markus. We are very confident that this will happen in very short time, because the value creation and the added value from AI applications is so huge if you once dare to use them, we are very confident that in Europe this will also happen in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, thank you. And Kirsten, what do you see as the...
Yes, it's a complementary perspective now. That's all about in our artificial intelligence production network. It's about interdisciplinarity. And my perspective would be to do more positive narratives on it, Do you know really good examples? No. And that's it. It's about telling the society what happens. I know all these cybersecurity things, but as an ethicist, it's you are not so much connected to society. That's why we have in Augsburg this huge showroom to give the society, to give all the interested citizens a knowledge, a glimpse what happens behind all this, in all these industries. It's telling about what happens and telling about what is the future and what could be a good future. It's more a narrative ethics approach. Ethics is not only normative to say good, not so good, or bad. It's about what are good narratives, and not about be only positivist, but be really honest on narratives, on good narratives.
Great. And so with 2 minutes left to go, I'm going to ask each of you to quickly say, what is your call to action to encourage more factories to embrace a positive collaboration between humans and machine? Markus.
Well, the call to action is get it started. I mean, as already stated, there's more than enough use cases out there that you can stick to, and most of them are not just only specific for one piece. There are many times blueprints that can really roll out to likewise difficulties and can give you huge benefits. So we have 187 research projects going on in our network, and in almost everyone, there was a huge benefit of that AI that we developed, and therefore I can just say, well, just get inspired.
Okay, great.
Yeah, get inspired and establish a very good collaboration that we at Siemens have with the Workers' Council and with the labor unions, because we have to do this together with the people that are really working on the shop floor. And if they also see the benefit, and that's what they actually do, or can do if they are well educated, then this topic will fly.
Great. Kirsten, you have the last word.
I have so many answers how to decide what to say. Be courage. Yes, to have courage to go on the way and to be interdisciplinary, really honest, and to have a good compliance.
Okay, Great.
That's it.
Thank you. If you're interested in this topic, please stick around because at 12:05 we're going to have a fireside chat with a German company, Dorfner, that has succeeded in, it's not a factory, but it's a mining company that has succeeded in transforming the company with AI, but also bringing its workers along with it. So with that, I'd like to thank our panelists, and please give them a nice round of applause.